Hey guys, Sval here, and we're gonna do a quick review of Amnesia, a machine for pigs. I just finished playing this game and wanted to give my thoughts. So one of the things that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a lot of comparisons from Amnesia Dark Descent to this game, Amnesia, a machine for pigs. And I think that's a fair comparison to do because the game was called Amnesia. It's not like they went out and they made another game and it was from the developers of Amnesia. No, they made this game specifically as another title and in the Amnesia series. So I think it's a fair thing to do is to compare the two games to each other. So let's talk a little bit about some of the differences in the games to start off with. Now, in Amnesia Dark Descent, some of the items and some of the things you did in the game was you collected items. You collected tinder boxes in order to be able to light candles. You collected oil in order to be able to fill your lantern, as well as collecting notes and items to solve puzzles. In A Machine for Pigs, they decided to go about things a little bit differently. So in this game, there are no tinderboxes because you live in a world with electricity. It's a different place, it's a different time. So when you come across things that can be lit up, it's by electricity. So you simply have to turn a lamp on. Therefore, there are no tinderboxes to collect. You have a lantern that I presume is powered by a battery. So finding oil isn't an object in this game. You have this lantern that'll turn on and off whenever you would like it to. Additionally, in this game, you do not collect items for puzzles. There are some minor puzzles in the game to which you have to carry an item from X place to Y place. However, it doesn't add them to your inventory, and it's also a very short distance because you're holding the item out in front of you on screen and then using the item. Whereas in Amnesia, A Dark Descent, you would collect items to have to solve puzzles later on in the game. You might have to traverse to different areas to do so. Not so much in this game. So let's talk about the storylines of the game. The storylines between Amnesia Dark Descent and Amnesia A Machine for Pigs are in no way related to each other. In fact, the only similarities between A Dark Descent and A Machine for Pigs is they make references to the other game. When you read various letters in A Machine for Pigs, they make references to A Dark Descent throughout the game. There does seem to be some references to maybe the character you're playing now is a nephew or a great nephew of one of the people in A Dark Descent. So they do try to kind of make that connection. But as far as what you're doing in the game and the storyline, there's no connection to each other. So that's pretty much the comparisons between A Dark Descent and A Machine for Pigs. Now let's just talk about A Machine for Pigs for a while. Let's start out with the story. You play as a man named Mandus, and the game starts you out as though you are searching for two of your children that are missing. And there is this helpful voice that contacts you through the telephone and directs you on what to do next and where to go next. We're not going to go into specifics of the storyline because they'll give away a lot of spoilers. But let's just say the title for this game, A Machine for Pigs, is not misleading. You literally end up climbing through and working and trying to disrupt a machine that is building pig-type creatures. And how they go about that, well, that's up for you to discover as you play the game. Let's talk about the graphics. The graphics were made. This game came out in 2013, so it does have 2013 graphics. Again, with horror games like this, the graphics are never the most important part of the game. So the graphics are acceptable. They're not great. They're 6 years old. They show their age. It's not to be unexpected. Let's talk about the sounds in this game. Again, sound and atmosphere to me are the most important things in a horror game. Is you really need that atmosphere, that mysterious atmosphere. Never really knowing quite what you're looking at, where you're going, those haunting sounds in the background. You know, they do try to do this in this game. Obviously, it's a horror game. It fell short, especially when you're comparing it to Amnesia Dark Descent. It definitely fell short. You do get the occasional tremors in the game. You'll hear pigs off in the background snorting. Maybe you hear your children hauntingly calling to you. Things of that nature. However, they just didn't you don't feel it. You don't feel the pain. You don't feel the terror, the horror like you would in Dark Descent. Also, the atmosphere in this game, we went from a very dungeon-esque type atmosphere to now we're in 19th century London. We have electricity. We can turn on lights with the flip of a switch. There's vehicles. It's a completely different environment. It does, towards the end of the game, get that dungeon feel back to it as you descend underground and you operate more within the machine for pigs. It definitely does start to get that dungeon feel a little bit more. As far as the gameplay goes, it's very simple as to the previous Amnesia game. You are playing in first person. You have a lantern to guide your way, and that's pretty much it. There's no weapons. There's no traps. There's nothing for you to avoid monsters other than running or hiding. Just like, actually, exactly like Amnesia, the first one, Dark Descent. This game doesn't have the puzzles that Dark Descent has. The puzzles in this game are very rudimentary, very simple. Because like I said, you have no inventory in this game, so you don't collect pieces for now that you can use later. If there's something to be solved, it's going to be in the immediate area so that you can pick it up and then place it wherever the puzzle that needs to be solved. It's very simple. The story in this game, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'll be honest. It goes off on an odd tangent, which is pretty common for games like this. The story doesn't make a lot of sense, but this one is extra weird, and there's nothing wrong with weird. It doesn't come together. At the end of the game, when you get the end of the game and the end sequence is happening and the end cinematic scene, you don't feel like there was any resolution or questions answered. It just kind of leaves a big question mark. And the thing is with the question, it doesn't really beg to be answered. I really don't care if I got the answer to the question or not. So overall, I would say with this game, if you get it very cheap, free, for a deep discount on sale, pick it up, play it. I am glad that I played it. It wasn't, as much as I'm bagging on it, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad game. It was enjoyable, but it was very middle of the road. There was nothing in this game that stood out, that made it outstanding. And if you compare it to Amnesia Dark Descent, it falls flat. It simply is nowhere nearly as good as the original. And I think that's a little disappointing. As a game on its own, it's an average game. It's okay. I would give it 4 or 5 out of 10 if I was using on a 10 scale. But check it out if you get it for free, if you get it for super cheap. It's worth a play. It's going to take, 10 hours of your time or however long it took us to play this game. I don't even remember. I did it in 2 streams, so probably less than 8 hours. It's not a very long game. You can run through it in a couple afternoons. So it's not going to be something you have to invest a ton of time into. So that's it for me. That was how I felt about Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs. What did you guys think? Have you played it? Would you recommend it? What were your favorite parts? What things did you hate? Do you feel like that they could have made a better follow-up to A Dark Descent than what they did? Let me know. As always, guys, have fun, play some damn video games, and I'll see you next time.